did know what she was gonna probably wear. Cause like I'm pretty sure like she probably showed him uh probably talked about it at some point, right? I don't think it comes too much of a surprise. Did I have an issue with the dress? Well, I had it. If she wants to wear that out with me, no problem. But out by herself is a completely different thing. You know what I'm saying? I kind of do feel that it was very performative, right? You know, it was Usher, it was a residency, and I think that she was sponsoring the dress. I think she might have had a designer who she was probably wearing that for, and she was kind of sponsoring the dress. Needless to say, uh, her actions are her actions. I think that he knew what he was signing up for, and honestly, I think we're giving a little bit too much credit because we don't know if he proposed at some point before, and it was never announced. Who's to say after 5 years, 4 to 5 years that they were together, that at some point he didn't attempt to propose? Maybe something happened during the situation. Maybe his finances got tight. Maybe she kind of doesn't want marriage. Maybe probably doesn't see him as the best suitor for marriage. But she probably, was okay with having a kid because they probably developed some sort of bond, right? A lot of women are doing that. Some women, what I'm saying? And also that she's the one that's holding the bag. She's the one that's producing the most money. She's the one with the image, the fame, right? He does have his own thing going on because he's a physical trainer, I believe, or something like along that nature, right? Um, yeah, I just think what bro fucked up was airing your laundry on Twitter. You should have called your woman, text her, FaceTime her, wait until the show's over, and be like, "Hey, I want to talk to you. Are you in the private space?" Etc. Hey, like I didn't really like or appreciate that move that you did. I think it was a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? I feel some type of way. You would have handled it that way. By you airing it out on Twitter, it kind of made it gave it a green light for everybody to jump on you, and sort of it did show moments of insecurity for him as a man to handle that situation, right? Because we're paying attention to how you handle, and also you got to know your woman, right? A lot of people weren't checking for KeKe before. You know what I'm saying? Now that she had the baby, her body is bodying now. You know what I'm saying? It's giving like she might have had a little BBL work. You know what I'm saying?
Now
We
them
never,
babies be sitting on you, and but
yeah.
their butt, their gut turn into butt.
Next thing, she was like this. Next thing you know, she was like this with a curve, right? And I was like, oh, is that really KeKe? You know what I'm saying?
The
Everybody
same thing
remember
Louis,
happened
her.
to Erica Badu, though. Remember, Erica Badu was not that thick
Exactly.
before she had her kid. Now she
Louis,
is.
I, Louis, I just got a little bit of
I do got
pushback.
real thick after she
Uh,
had the kids.
You know what I'm
Luis,
saying?
I
So
got a little,
now,
I got a little bit
let
of
me just
pushback, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit.
let me just land
But
this one point. I
okay,
think that she's probably feeling herself because she's
Yeah.
probably not gotten this level of attention from men probably before compared to now, and sort of she's kind of basking in the moment.
Mhm.
That's my observation. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of seeing her, the arc of her, right, from being a Disney kid to this moment in time, being
Just
in the
how she
spotlight.
speaks in interviews, she seems like a very
Yeah,
uplifting individual, not a bad person at all.
she's kind of evolved. I mean, look, I mean the dress. For me, I was like, I would like to you able to wear that out with me, but I mean, I think that he didn't have so much of an issue with the dress. I think he had more of an issue about her performance on stage and how she, tried to grow onto Usher. Although it didn't look that way, but who's to say? But go ahead,
Let
A.
yeah, I
Let
just
me
want,
say
I
this
just
real
got,
fast, and I'm gonna let you go, AP. I had an opportunity to look at the video from a fan's place, and it gave me a different perspective on it. Because when you see it close up like that, you don't get a full picture. So what I saw from the fans is that she was just in a section on by the stage, right? And Usher saw her. And so, of course, KeKe, at this point, the light is on her, the camera is on her, the big screen is on her. You're not going to sit there and not dance to a Usher song and put on a performance because it's like a live show. You're like, and then it's like, people are watching you. You're on this big screen. How would it look to just sit there and just be like, she's an actress. So
so
that's just my opinion.
just a quick question, Luis, because I kind of have a little bit of a problem with the way you kind of the painted the man in the situation, mainly because you pointed out maybe he did propose and maybe she doesn't feel like he was the right one. But how many guys actually stick around once they propose and she say hell no? Secondly, you were talking about her carrying the financial load and him acquiescing because of that. I'm not saying some men don't do that, but I would say in a general sense, as a man, you would still expect respect. So I don't. I'm just curious. Were you just making more like a general, like a general broad statement, or were you just kind of saying some hypotheticals about what could be going on and what
It
could
was
have
more
gone
of a
on?
hypothetical of
It's
what could
hypothetical.
be going on. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
this
Okay.
Like
is
we don't know.
allegedly. We don't know. Everything
Like
is
again, like we're
allegedly.
making a lot of assumptions and we're coloring between the lines, right? Because I would like to think if they've been talking and in a relationship for 5 years, I'm sure the conversation of marriage had been brought up one, two, three, four times. I'm sure they've been in and around family and friends, and the conversation about marriage and kids had been brought up. So it would behoove me not to think that this man at some point had probably proposed. And if he did, what happened? And if he didn't, like you're dropping the ball. Like, are you either you're serious to move in with her? You know what I'm saying? Move into that next chapter of your life, or you're not. And if he wants to, then I'm curious to know: did she deny his proposal? You know what I'm saying? That I'm making these assumptions, but like okay, 5 years. Like, ladies, you're in a relationship for 5 years with a guy. He doesn't give you signs that he's gonna marry you. Are you still staying?
Some women do,
Well,
especially
Some
if his
women
kids
do, and
are
some
I
involved.
women
just
don't.
looked it up, and they started dating in 2021. It says the couple have been dating since 2021, and the first child was
Is that publicly?
February of this year. So it's been 2 years basically from this particular thing that I'm reading. But one of the things to piggyback off of what you were saying, Louise, is the fact that I actually agree with you in regards to, dang, I forgot what you said. It was something that you said, but the fact that he expressed um, the fact that he expressed what he felt
His
publicly,
grievance.
right, without necessarily having that conversation with her first. So even if he felt like he expected her to know better and not to wear something like that, I guess obviously I'm gonna assume that that was never discussed in terms of how he want that presentation to be. The fact that they're a couple, right? I'm assuming. I don't know, but based on his statement, and he said, "This is my." I'm just quoting from what the article said. "This is my family and my representation. I have standards and morals to what I believe. I rest my case." So, based on that, I'm assuming that he did not necessarily have that conversation with her directly in terms of what he felt that his family and representation represents and what those standards and morals are as it relates to her choice of clothing. One, that's the first thing. The second thing is like what you said, Luis, is that if she overstepped that and she wasn't clear on it, or whether she was, that was a conversation that they needed to have privately. And then the third thing is a contradiction in itself for me to say that you have standards and morals to what you believe when those standards and morals don't align with what your actions are, because you were comfortable enough to make her the mother of your child, but not comfortable enough to make her your wife. So, in that regard, how are your standards and the morals aligning? Because morally, if we're speaking, based on, well, I say general morality in this culture, in American culture, that is basically majority Christian based, would say that one, you shouldn't be having sex before marriage, two, that you should be married. So there's an order to things, that you should be married, then have the kid. So you can't say you have moral standards or expectations when you're not operating in the way that you move in general. That's just my opinion.